Tonight, the massive blast that caught Perth's southern suburbs by surprise. WA's first locally acquired cases of Mpox, what you need to know. Hear the Prime Minister's poor taste joke that has WA farmers fuming. More than half of Perth's schools asking Food Bank for help to feed hungry students. Today's state memorial service to farewell WA footy legend John Todd. And later, Birdie Beetle is back at the show with a twist to celebrate a milestone.
This is 9 News Perth with Michael Thomson.
Good evening. It was just before 11:30 this morning when a massive boom rocked our southern suburbs. Thousands of people hearing, even feeling it, from Fremantle to Mandurah and into the wheat belt. We've spent today speaking with multiple experts investigating what sparked the Big Bang, and tonight we have the answer.
It came without warning and was gone in a flash. A mystery blast rattling our southern suburbs this morning. Baldiva's mother, Crystal Brown, was on the phone when she heard two loud booms.
It shook the whole house, the doors shook, the windows shook. It was really strange. It was like it was loud, but it was far away at the same time.
These Parmelia residents also baffled.
Just a massive boom. Very, very loud, very intense, very quick. I grabbed the cat and I thought, I'm getting out of here.
Like someone had closed the door really fast and it was just shaking like someone was trying to break in.
Social media exploding with comments from curious residents trying to crack the case. Heard at Garden Island in the west, as far east as Wandering in the wheat belt, and as far south as Boddington. An earthquake quickly ruled out. But this afternoon, finally an answer. Confirmation Singapore's F-15 fighter jets were the cause, conducting training off our coast.
By going supersonic, they've broken the sound barrier and it gives a loud, sharp crack.
The jets were training here off Rockingham. Experts say they should only go supersonic above water, not land, because of the potentially dangerous effects on residents. 9 News understands 2 aircraft were flying offshore at a distance of 30 nautical miles, going twice the speed of sound, with a perfect storm of weather conditions amplifying the supersonic boom. Michael Stamp, 9 News.
There's an Mpox alert in WA tonight after 2 people were found to have locally acquired it. The Health Department says the cases are a milder version of the virus, which is rampant across Africa, killing hundreds of people.
Mpox cases are rising steadily in Australia, now 2 locally acquired cases here in WA.
It is cause for concern. The virus is changing over time. It has been mutating, which is probably making it more infectious.
It's a milder version called Clade 2, not deadly but highly contagious. Today's warning by the Health Department to those most at risk, men having sex with men, specifically casual sex and multiple partners.
It can spread quite quickly if there's unprotected sex through contact with the infectious person, but it has to be bodily fluids.
Globally, Mpox is on the rise, the World Health Organization declaring a public health emergency with regard to the spread of the deadly strain, Clade 1, emanating from Africa, now detected in Sweden and Pakistan.
And the danger with letting a virus like this off the leash is that it continues to evolve and change, and it could become more dangerous.
The WHO also warns this is not the next COVID. It says a lot is already known about the virus and how to control it.
We do have stockpile of vaccines and we have a health system that will be able to cope if the infections rise.
The virus begins with fever, aches, pains, then a distinctive rash, lesions developing 1 to 3 days after the fever. The Health Department says these local cases are still being investigated. Emma Griffiths, 9 News.
A Clarkson tradie in a coma in Bali will return home tomorrow on a medical flight. Shane Ramsey's treatment so far costing his family $180,000. The 30-year-old didn't have travel insurance when he crashed his scooter in Seminyak on Sunday, fracturing his skull. A GoFundMe page has been set up to help cover medical costs. His mother telling 9 News she may have to sell the family home to pay for her son's treatment. WA farmers say they are disgusted after the Prime Minister mocked live sheep exports at an agriculture awards night. Tonight he's accused of being out of touch. His joke to a room full of farmers, leaving a bitter taste.
A joke over a meal made in poor taste.
When we had dinner, beautiful Australian beef, not the live export. We've made sure it was dead.
Farmers like Holly Ludeman failing to see the funny side.
Well, he's shown his true colours there, hasn't he? How tone deaf and disrespectful at an agricultural event full of leaders, like to say comments like that. The
live export trade joke made in front of a room full of farmers after Anthony Albanese had dined earlier with the Indonesian president-elect.
One of the things that we talked about was agriculture, the importance of that we have in this country.
The Prime Minister says that was the point, to reinforce the importance of the Aussie beef industry. But it's added fuel to the fire. A ban on live sheep export is coming into effect from 2028, ending trade for hundreds of WA farmers.
My phone has gone running hot. Farmers are absolutely horrified, disgusted and pretty disappointed at the Prime Minister.
To make fun of their industry and the plight that they're facing is abhorrent.
It's feared when live sheep exports by sea are banned, cattle exports could be next. The Prime Minister's seemingly scripted remarks raising the stakes in the live export issue.
Not the live export. We've made sure it was dead.
But the dispute over the ban is far from dead.
I think the Prime Minister owes Australian farmers an apology.
No apology on the table yet. Conor McGovern, 9 News.
The WA Government is bringing forward its Road Safety Summit to September 2. It comes as calls for nighttime speed limits on country roads gains top-level support from the WA Police Commissioner. Former top cop Carlo Callaghan floating the idea to reduce the road toll.
We should always pay attention to someone that has done this job for 14 years, so he has a lot of knowledge. Anyone putting forward ideas is a good thing. We should never, let's look at the data, see what the data says. Now, I have looked at the data across the day. We are seeing fatalities at all hours of the day, but I don't think we should discount ideas at this early stage.
The plan would see police enforce a lower speed limit overnight or when it's raining. Insurance claims from more than 150 disgruntled niche living clients could be put on ice if the company gets its way. Lawyers for the embattled builder today arguing it should maintain its registration to complete unfinished homes.
Braden and Sarah Munro's niche living home in Hammond Park has been at lock-up stage for 18 months. Now a decision by the Building Services Board not to renew the builder's registration, their last hope.
We can't afford to fix all the defects. We can't afford to fix our home, get it to completion. The banks won't give us an extension on the loan to do so.
They're among 155 customers who are now trying to access home indemnity insurance.
Give the owners compensation. Come on, Ronnie.
You've given them money, but you haven't seen them finish your house, and yet they go and buy more land up the road.
But niche lawyer Martin Kewarden SC today told the State Administrative Tribunal customers had been misled into making applications, alleging it was a complete misuse of that insurance scheme and accusing the government of wanting to throw the builder on the rubbish heap. The tribunal heard the company had $44 million worth of assets, but $76 million in debts. Mr Kewarden noted Niche still had the support of its bank and argued the decision not to re-register the company had a massive prejudicial impact on customers who hadn't filed insurance claims and whose homes could no longer be finished. The tribunal has reserved its decision. Jamie Freestone, 9 News.
We're getting a clearer picture today of just how many Perth children are at risk of going hungry in this cost of living crisis. Schools in Mosman Park and Wembley now relying on Food Bank to make sure its students eat breakfast.
truckloads of free food, and some of it is on the road to our western suburbs.
What's been surprising is a shift to some of the middle metropolitan area suburbs.
Foodbank's school breakfast program is for kids going without. Students at 238 schools now rely on Foodbank breakfasts, including one in Mosman Park, where the median house price is pushing $2 million. One in Wembley, where homes cost on average $1.7 million, as well as a school in Churchlands, Ardross, Leederville and Mount Lawley.
Families that have never come to us before are coming forward now, and we are seeing households with incomes, not just one, sometimes 1.5 or 2 people earning a regular income, and they just can't make ends meet.
In Baldivis, 9 schools rely on Foodbank breakfasts, 7 in Armidale and Ellenbrook, 6 in Gosnells, 6 in Port Kennedy. Some teachers are dipping into their pockets to feed students, according to their union. Foodbank's funding doubled last year, but so has the cost of delivery. The charity says there might come a day where they have to knock back schools.
So we've already injected, in this budget alone, $1.5 million for more funding for organisations like Foodbank.
The opposition pledging even more if they're elected.
We will be making our own announcements in relation to cost of living measures.
It's food for thought for voters come March. Michael Genovese, 9 News.
A court has heard Linda Reynolds told a journalist she didn't know if Britney Higgins' rape allegation was true because she wasn't in the room. Samantha Maiden today grilled on her bombshell news story in the Senator's defamation trial.
She broke the story of Britney Higgins' rape claim, landing herself a Gold Walkley Award.
This is a great honour, and I'd like to thank Britney Higgins.
Today, Samantha Maiden faced a different audience, giving evidence via video link to Perth Supreme Court in the trial of Linda Reynolds, who's suing her former staffer for defamation. The News Corp journalist telling the court she asked Senator Reynolds if she believed Britney Higgins' rape claim, saying the former Defence Minister replied, "I have no idea. I wasn't in the room." The court also played audio of the journalist's hour-long interview with Britney Higgins in 2021. The former staffer heard saying she felt her boss hated her in the wake of her alleged rape. Ms Maiden also adding Britney Higgins never said she wanted to bring down the Senator or the Morrison government and was only coming forward to create change in the workplace. The trial is now down to its final witness, former Federal Police Deputy Commissioner Leanne Close. She'll give her evidence tomorrow before lawyers make their closing arguments on Monday week. Ezra Holt, 9 News.
Hundreds of public sector workers have walked off the job today, fighting for better pay and a 4-day work week. Rallying outside the Perth Cultural Centre, health professionals, child protection workers, even firefighters. They want a pay rise of 7% in the first year, followed by 5% the year after. The union says the cost of living is hurting staff retention, many leaving for better salaries elsewhere. Class action against Jetstar could force the airline to refund hundreds of millions of dollars to customers. The budget carrier accused of refusing to refund tickets for cancelled flights during COVID, instead issuing travel credits.
When Jetstar cancelled flights during the COVID pandemic, customers were given travel credits. A class action lodged in the federal court alleges the airline did the wrong thing.
The correct thing for them to do under the law was to give people's money back. What they chose to do was to put profits ahead of their customers, hold on to that money to try to protect the airline at the expense of ordinary people.
Yamur Siddiqui suffered when Jetstar cancelled multiple flights.
At the time I was struggling and I needed the money for other things. So I was a bit sort of stuck with that sort of money, and in order to use Jetstar again, I wasn't particularly wanting to use Jetstar again. So that kind of made me feel like held in ransom.
Melbourne-based Echo Law claims hundreds of thousands of people were affected.
You have to also put yourself back in the mindset of 2020 to 2022. Who, sitting at home during lockdown, wanted a travel credit rather than money they could use for something at that very desperate time?
The class action also alleges Jetstar profited by holding on to hundreds of millions of dollars of customer payments, earning interest and reducing borrowing costs. In other words, as customers sat at home, Jetstar was making a windfall. Jetstar has responded with a statement. will review the claims filed in the class action this morning. Last year, we removed expiry dates for COVID vouchers so they can be used indefinitely. In May this year, Qantas reached a $120 million settlement with the ACCC over the Ghost Flights fiasco, selling tickets for flights that had already been cancelled. The Jetstar class action, another big threat to its bottom line. Mark Burrows, 9 News.
Michelle and Barack Obama have given Donald Trump both barrels during rousing back-to-back speeches at the Democratic convention. The power couple threw their political weight behind Kamala Harris as the party officially endorsed her.
The Democratic convention turned dance party.
The Democratic National Convention roll call!
Lil Jon changed his lyrics.
Turn out for what?
For a ceremonial roll call.
California, we proudly cast our 482 votes for the next president, Kamala Harris.
The woman of the moment beamed in from Wisconsin.
I'm a riot through your borders. Call me bulletproof. Together, we will chart a new way forward.
But the night belonged to two of the Democrats' biggest stars.
America, hope is making a comeback.
Hope's contagious power spurring the former First Lady to deliver this call to action.
We've got to do something. If we start feeling tired, if we start feeling that dread creeping back in, we got to pick ourselves up, throw water on our face, and what?
And launching a powerful takedown of Donald Trump.
Who's going to tell him that the job he's currently seeking might just be one of those black jobs?
With the unenviable task of following his wife, the first black president made the case for the first female.
We do not need 4 more years of bluster and bumbling and chaos. We have seen that movie before, and we all know that the sequel is usually worse.
All with the promise of building a better America.
That is more secure and more just, more equal and more free. So let's get to work.
Democrats want the mood in this room tonight to become a movement across the United States of America. For the Obamas are now set to make campaign stops right across the country to help Kamala Harris become America's Commander-in-Chief.
My girl, Kamala Harris, is more than ready for this moment.
In Chicago, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
He's one of the most influential athletes our state has seen. But as John Todd was farewelled at a state memorial service today, it was his 62-year-long marriage and family revealed as his greatest success. Football greats came to salute the man some regard as our greatest. A state memorial for our youngest Sandover medalist, the Wonder Kid, who became a wonder coach.
His legacy lives on in the footy fields across the state, from the weekend amateurs to the aspiring professionals. In his own words, I never played the game to be a legend. I played because I loved it.
He was part of a new wave of footballer.
He had that magnetism about him. The two Johns in those days, Todd and Jerovich, just drew people to Fremantle Oval. They were rock stars. They were as big as Elvis in those times.
South Fremantle ruckman Stephen Michael reflecting, we won't see another like John Todd.
Today's footy is a lot different. These guys won't make that kind of legends anymore.
Eagles premiership star Peter Sumich calls John Todd the best coach he's ever had. He loved Toddy, even though in the early days he could unleash an almighty half-time ear bashing.
The spray he gave me got to the stage I reckon I was about to cry, because I didn't know how to handle it, and there were things said that I reckon if you said in today's football, you'd probably go to court.
A legend of the game, but his greatest achievement, his 62-year marriage to wife Merrill. Family was everything.
And he would tell them he loved them whenever he could. His mantra was always, if you're happy, I'm happy. Thank you.
He was a legend. Well, an early taste of spring today, but Natalia Cooper, it's not going to last.
That's right, Tomo. Tomorrow will be wet, windy and possibly stormy, but wasn't that sunshine nice today? After a low overnight of 10.7 degrees, we climbed to a top of 20.4 around 2 o'clock. We did get a decent drop overnight though. Carrigaline picking up 10 millimetres, Mundaring had 8.8, the airport 7 and the city 4.2 millimetres. A cut-off low is coming tomorrow, so that's why we'll see the wet and windy conditions. Tomorrow is also Daffodil Day and you'll be able to buy beautiful daffodils here at the QV1 building in the city, along with shopping centres and many hospitals too. All the money raised going to cancer research. Tomo?
Such a great cause, Natalia. Thank you. A desperate search off Sicily is next. See the moment a super yacht is engulfed by a storm. The emails that could have prevented the police massacre at Wiambilla. The world's oldest known person dies at a remarkable age. And Birdie is back. A Perth Royal Show favourite returns bigger than ever. Two emails could have prevented the 2022 massacre at Wiambilla, according to Queensland Police. The acting sergeant on duty at the time telling a coronial inquest he would not have sent 4 officers to the property if he'd known about threatening emails sent to New South Wales Police days earlier. The full file on the trained family was not transferred to Queensland. The final seconds before disaster, this security footage shows the moment a super yacht is engulfed by a storm off the Sicily coast. The vessel quickly sank. One body has been found. 6 people are still missing, including British billionaire Mike Lynch. Divers have now managed to smash through a glass window and enter the hull 49 metres below sea level. It can often feel like a rare thing in politics these days, but bipartisanship has been on full display in Canberra today. The government and opposition negotiating to deliver on major reform that will transform the NDIS and aged care.
In the People's House, Aged Care Minister Annika Wells crossing the floor for a front bench face-to-face. A chat of minutes, finalising an aged care plan years in the making and decades in implementation.
I don't think it'll be any surprise that we will need to invest more in aged care.
And with an ageing population living longer, Australians heading into aged care will pay more as well. Expect prices to rise for pensioners, not just self-funded retirees, with incentives to receive care and assistance in your own home before entering aged care facilities.
Good morning, everybody. We're good to go?
2 floors above, another deal.
These are the first and most significant co-governance changes since the inception of the scheme a decade ago.
The government, opposition and states set to sign off on reform of the NDIS. Among the changes, more clearly defined services accessible under the scheme, increased powers of investigation and restrictions on participants topping up their plan.
For people with disability and their families, it all works better when you don't have the feds and the states arguing.
The agreement will also help the bottom line, with the cost for the last financial year $600 million under the forecast, while savings from the reform estimated at $59 billion over 7 years.
Cut from the support and services that disabled people and our families need to live, to be safe, to be healthy.
In Sydney, this demonstration from frontline NDIS workers against rorts and rip-offs leaving staff underpaid.
Play us right every day.
Tonight, the government arguing a register of providers will prevent scams in the scheme.
Sustainability has prompted the changes in the disability, aged care and construction sectors. 3 times this week, the major parties producing major reform through compromise. Charles Croucher, 9 News.
At least 52 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza in the past 24 hours, including 12 at a school-turned-shelter. Comes as the US Secretary of State ended his Middle East tour with a ceasefire agreement seeming as elusive as ever. Hamas accusing America of including new conditions from Israel in their latest proposal. And the world's oldest known person has died at the age of 117. Maria Brañas Mora was born in the US in 1907, 5 years before the sinking of the Titanic. Living mostly in Spain, she survived 2 pandemics and 2 world wars. Her title now goes to Japan's Tomiko Itoka, who is 116. It is a highly anticipated comeback, Birdie Beetle's return to the Royal Show. And it's time to celebrate a milestone, 6 decades of the show bag, which holds the mantle of cheapest and cheeriest.
A tiny chocolate causing a big fuss. But there's good news for birdie lovers.
Look, we're ecstatic that Birdie Beetle is back for the 2024 Perth Royal Show.
Production issues meant Perth missed out last year, sending shockwaves across the state.
It's all about the nostalgia. You know, you go to the show as a child, you remember getting that Birdie Beetle for $2 back in the day. But everyone remembers their first Royal Show and their first Birdie Beetle, that's for sure.
This year, Bertie's 60th at the show, 1 million chocolates made for the occasion, filling 70,000 show bags.
We're busy. We've been packing for the last 3 weeks, 18 hours a day. We've been lucky. We've withstood all the freight delays. All of our stock came in early, so we're fully prepared for this year's show.
Birdie Beetle will be coming back in style this year with 7 varieties of show bags up for grabs. And it's not just chocolate, there'll also be retro merchandise too. And it's only available here in Perth. Bertie isn't the only show bag making a comeback, the Polly Waffle returning for the first time in more than a decade. From cartoon characters to sports club and toys, more than 120,000 bags are ready to go.
Expecting numbers may sell out at this year's show due to the number of people coming through the gates, so get in early.
The Royal Show kicks off on September 21. Amber Wilkinson, 9 News.
Ending Australia's domestic violence epidemic. Next, the landmark report urging men to step up and protect women and children. How a missing pair of scissors delayed hundreds of flights in Japan. New footage of Donald Trump's would-be assassin before the attack. And forget waiting for the sales, the stores that price match, giving you the best bargain.
9 News, brought to you by Tucson Hybrid by Hyundai. Ever driven a better car than yours? Now you can.
The first annual report card on Australia's plan to tackle domestic violence has delivered a blunt message. Men need to help make change happen.
More than just a moment, it became a movement and now demands to seize the momentum.
All of us have more to do. All of us must do better. Together we can, we must and we will. The time is now.
The first chance to see how Australia is tracking on the national plan to end violence against women and children.
We need to be having very different conversations with men. Unless we start doing that, we're not keeping women safe.
Of the 5 key findings, 2 focus on perpetrators, recommending more support for men with concerning behaviour, as well as more engagement and intervention for those who use violence. Also calling for more sustainable funding for refuges and sexual assault services, and extra training for staff from healthcare to teaching, social work and lawyers.
The last finding recognises the difficulty of measuring progress due to the lack of available data. Less than half of the goals can be measured, and the report urges all governments to help provide more information as a priority.
We need standards, we need consistent practice, we need data that tells us more.
Also desperately needed input from offenders as to why they turn to violence.
We are watching a generation grow up with access to online misogyny, pornography, hate speak in a way that we've never seen before.
I think that this is a whole of society issue, but I think that men need to make this their issue.
A plan in progress with a push for more action.
We have to do better.
Claudia Radoljak, 9 News.
A wannabe circus performer caught with a Bond villain weapon is fighting to avoid prison. Liliana Goodson arrived on a flight from Los Angeles in May last year with a golden gun in her luggage. The 24-carat firearm picked up on an X-ray by Border Force officers. Goodson today told a Sydney court it was all a big mistake, despite phone records revealing she Googled, "Can I have a gun in my suitcase?" The 28-year-old, who came to Australia for clown school, faces 10 years behind bars. A missing pair of scissors at an airport in northern Japan has caused 201 flights to be delayed and 36 to be cancelled. They'd gone missing in a store near the boarding gates, forcing security checks to be delayed. Eventually, flights resumed and the scissors were found in the same store. And a new video shows Donald Trump's would-be assassin about an hour and a half before he shot at the former president. This is the earliest known footage of Thomas Crooks at the Butler rally ground. He would go on to climb a rooftop and fire 8 shots, killing a spectator. The cost of living crunch has you chasing the best deal at the shops. Stay with us. We're going to tell you the stores that are happy to price match and even beat their competitors with a bigger discount.
It pays to be a smart shopper, and on big-ticket items like white goods, furniture and electronics, it can add up to big savings.
You can save hundreds of dollars, particularly off those larger appliances.
Here's how it works. Identify the item you want to buy, then shop around online or in catalogues for the cheapest price. Then head to your nearest store and ask them to price match or, better yet, beat it.
Maybe it's easy to do returns, or you change your mind, there's a stronger refund policy and you don't have to go through the process of posting it back.
Sound too good to be true? Well, nearly all the big-name stores guarantee lower prices. Let's put it to the test. In store at The Good Guys, the salesman actually showed us the lowest prices online for a 65-inch LG TV, knocking $300 off the marked price.
If you guys find it cheaper.
Or if you find it cheaper.
Or if we find it cheaper, pay as well.
You don't even have to do it in person with just a quick phone call to JB Hi-Fi.
I can match that one for you today.
In less than 60 seconds, they slashed the price of this Bosch washing machine, advertised for $13.99, but selling at appliances online for $1,147.
That's a good saving, $252. I'm pretty happy with that.
With a downturn in consumer spending, competition for customer loyalty is fierce, with many stores even price matching the heavily discounted online giant Amazon. Officeworks slashed these Sennheiser headphones by $90 to match Amazon's price of $219. But a week later, they were selling for $10 cheaper. So I asked for a $10 refund and I got it.
Thank you so much. It's a great saving of $100.
All up, across just 3 items, we've saved more than $650, showing that shopping around using price matching couldn't be easier. Michelle Tapper, 9 News.
Unsubscribe and save. That's straight after sport. How to escape subscription traps and save yourself $600 a year. And a trip back in time on majestic Sydney Harbour. But first, Matthew Pavlich is here with Sport, and Pav, Porter off to the appeals board.
Yeah, well, the AFL has made a big statement here, Tomo, but Port are trying to reduce the damage. Hopeful Houston, the Power roll the dice ahead of a date with the Dockers. A fresh deal at Freo as a defensive duo lock in at Lathlane. And one last splash. A veteran swim star considers his future. Well, as Port Adelaide prepare to take on Fremantle on Sunday, Dan Houston is off to the appeals board in a last-ditch effort to downgrade his 5-match ban. The defender joining Sam Powell-Pepper on the sidelines as the pair are forced to watch their side push for a premiership.
Port Adelaide and Houston have a problem. Dan's current penalty ruling him out of a grand final if the Power can get there. Something Sam Powell-Pepper has had to make peace with, still recovering from ACL surgery.
Had a little chat to him and I just said, you know, it doesn't define the person you are. You know, you're a fair and tough player, and yeah, there's not much really we can do now besides support the boys.
But keeping the West Aussies' spirits high, the 26-year-old inking a contract until the end of 2029.
Yeah, I love Port Adelaide so much. I've been here for 8 years now, and they're like a family.
The pair will watch as their side attempt to end Fremantle's season on Sunday as Docker Bailey Banfield continues to make his mark. The 26-year-old closing in on a new deal following a career best year, booting 20 goals from 22 games.
Banfield busts his way through and Fremantle finally have their first goal.
The Eagles hosting their final training session for the year. Eagle Jeremy McGovern taking part, but is already facing a delayed start to pre-season, heading for a full reconstruction of his thumb and could spend up to 4 months on the sidelines. West Coast staying future-focused with the pending departure of Tom Barras. Harry Edwards locking in long-term, signing on until 2027.
I'm very, very happy to repay the club. You know, I've been here for 6 years now. Love the boys, love the direction we're heading.
Brady Hoff staying put too, rewarded for his best year yet, inking a deal until 2028. The pair heading to Geelong to face the Cats, who'll have even more to play for, with Premiership player Zach Tui announcing his retirement after 286 games. Alexia Pesce, 9 News.
Well, the Giants are chasing a top 2 finish against the Western Bulldogs on Sunday, who themselves are trying to secure a place in the finals. But as the fierce rivals get set for battle, the Dogs will have to do it without West Aussie Tim English, who's managing an ankle injury.
With finals on the line, enter an unlikely saviour. Rory Lobb set to take on the ruck duties for another week at the Bulldogs. Luke Beveridge in charge for a 229th game, overtaking Ted Whitten as the most games coached at the Kennel. Beveridge with a simple plan to stop the likely Coleman medalist, Jesse Hogan.
I mean, your first port of call is just minimise supply, and so up the ground, it's centred around our midfield, being a force at the stoppage.
The Giants' tactics, just as simple.
You just see him kick it to him and he marks it pretty much at the moment.
GWS looking for an 8th straight win heading into finals. While the Pies are considering resting Scott Pendlebury for Friday night's clash against the Demons, needing results to go their way and at least a 100-point win to potentially even scrape into finals, the coach is taking the rational approach.
Yeah, we're not here to go out and try to score an amazing score. I think that's unrealistic.
Demons defender Jake Lever revealing Christian Petrarca is like a new man after he spoke to the group about his dissatisfaction at the direction of the club.
It was almost like a weight had lifted off his shoulders, and he's back involved in his smiling face at the football club again, and that's the Christian Petrarca that I've missed.
And Dyson Heppel will get his farewell game away from home. The veteran set to line up against Brisbane on Saturday. Joel Saratzis, 9 News.
Wildcats recruit Elijah Pepper feels he's adjusting to life in the NBL, but admits the new rules have been a challenge after spending the last 5 years playing college basketball in America.
It allows for more physicality, but just the pace of basketball, shorter shot clock, stuff like that, that takes a little bit of adjusting and getting used to, which over the first few days the shot clock would go off and I'm like, well, I didn't even know the shot clock was getting close.
Bit to learn. Perth will play a practice match on Friday night with a 23-year-old suiting up in red for the first time. Kyle Chalmers admits he's not certain to return to the pool for the 2028 games in LA, even after his 3-medal performance in Paris. Chalmers will be 30 by then, and he knows there's plenty of youngsters coming through the ranks.
There's great young talents coming through in Australia, so one day I'm no longer going to be the man of the 100 freestyle, but hopefully I can still be right up there for LA and be in the relay team and see how we go.
Chalmers won silver medals in the men's 100 metres and the 4x100 freestyle relay, while also claiming bronze in the 4x100 medley event. And the Socceroos World Cup campaign will begin on home soil in November when the Aussies meet Saudi Arabia in a FIFA World Cup qualifier.
The last time we lost a World Cup qualifier down here in Melbourne was 1977. So it's always been an area, a stadium that the boys enjoy coming to.
The Socceroos begin their quest on September 5 against Bahrain. Let's hope it continues for them. Tomo, tomorrow night we check in with Dockers coach Justin Longmuir ahead of the must-win clash with the Power this weekend. It shapes as a huge round 24.
It's a monster Sunday.
It is.
Yeah, watching that game and other games, how they all unfold.
Lots riding on it.
Yeah,
Tomo.
there is. Matthew, thank you. Where to find Perth's cheapest fuel, plus the end of a Hollywood partnership. Dan, how checking your subscriptions can save you hundreds. And Natalia amongst the daffodils with your forecast.
Tomo, it was almost spring-like today, but winter will be back with a vengeance tomorrow. I'll have all of the details very soon.
1 in 3 of us are now cracking down on useless subscriptions, saving hundreds of dollars in the process. Products bought once are now being bundled into ongoing payments that budgeting experts warn can be a trap.
A home-cooked meal, a workout on the exercise bike, TV and movies, even toilet paper and underwear. The subscription economy has now spread across almost everything.
It's absolutely a trap. Businesses love subscription models because once they've got your bank account details, they know they've got their hand in your back pocket, and many of us will just keep on paying whether we use the service or not.
But millions like Joshua Vanderleest are now fighting back. He's dumping as many subscriptions as possible.
Definitely noticing a difference. Some are fairly straightforward, but you have to know that you're subscribed to them to cancel them.
And there's money to be saved. NAB data shows Aussies who cut back on subscriptions tend to save $56 a month or upwards of $670 a year.
It used to be really hard to keep track of all of the things that you've signed up for. Technology has definitely made that easier. So all banks will have some form of spending insights feature. We know ourselves that 1.5 million NAB customers have used that feature in the past year, and that's up 62%.
A lot of businesses are moving towards subscriptions. In fact, with some new cars, if you don't pay a monthly fee, the seat warmers won't work. And even though you buy a security camera like this one, you also need to pay a monthly subscription. It's all set to continue, so consumers are being told they've got to be careful.
The subscription economy is not going anywhere. It's the definition of a good business. It makes money while the business owner sleeps, and so we have to get used to it. It's unfortunately now on us to make sure we're getting value from our subscriptions.
Chris Kohler, 9 News.
A love story 20 years in the making, but after only 2 years of marriage, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck have split. The Hollywood stars first got engaged in the early 2000s, but broke it off and went on to marry other people. They reconnected in 2021 and wed a year later. Lopez, though, filing for divorce weeks after their second wedding anniversary. A rare 9-day rise has been recorded on the local share market. Here's finance editor Chris Kohler.
It may only be 12 points, but it's still a positive day for the ASX, and that now makes 9 days in a row, a winning streak longer than we've seen in years. Software business WiseTech was the standout after reporting a big rise in profit, while Domino's Pizza didn't impress investors with its profit numbers. The price of gold pushed to new highs above $2,500 an ounce. It means a standard gold bar is now worth a cool $1 million for the first time ever. And the Australian dollar touched its highest level in a month. It's buying 67 US cents, 60 euro cents and 52 British pence.
Let's take a look at the price of unleaded petrol across Perth tomorrow. The average will be $1.92.6 a litre, but you can find it cheaper on Marmion Avenue in Alkimos, on Market Street in Casuarina and on Morrison Road in Swan View. A glimpse of a time gone by on the Sydney Harbour today as tall ships glided under the coat hanger and towards the heads, flanked by our majestic James Craig. Dutch clipper Start Amsterdam, setting sail for Brisbane after a visit to the National Maritime Museum. A rainy, possibly stormy Thursday is on the way. Natalia's live with the forecast next.
Welcome back to the QV1 building in the city. Tomorrow you'll be able to buy daffodils here for Daffodil Day. And I want to show you these beautiful shots of paragliders enjoying the skies over Rockingham, making the most of today's mostly sunny conditions. After a low overnight of 11 degrees, we climbed to a top today of 20, and right now in the city it's sitting on 15.6 to the charts, and a cut-off low will impact us tomorrow. We're going to see as much as 20 millimetres of rain, along with gusty winds and possible thunderstorms. Around the country tomorrow, nothing but sunshine and a warm 27 in Brisbane, cloudy and 22 in Sydney, a shower or two easing for Melbourne. Back in the north of our state, Kununurra will be mostly sunny and 37, 29 at Port Hedland and a shower shower or two in Carnarvon. Further south, wet and windy in Geraldton, rain and a possible storm in Bunbury. 20 millimetres of rain is forecast in Augusta and Albany. There's a strong wind warning on local waters. Easterly winds 10 to 15 knots, tending northeasterly 15 to 25 early in the morning, then shifting west to northwesterly 20 to 25 in the middle of the day, and winds could reach up to 30 knots during the afternoon and evening. Now it's going to be a wet day across the suburbs, 22 the top at Joondalup and Fremantle. So for Perth tomorrow, rain tending to showers as the day goes on. The chance of a storm in the afternoon and evening, which could possibly be severe. Damaging winds are also likely. Up to 20 millimetres could fall. 23 the top after a low tonight of 11 degrees. Looking ahead, another 15 millimetres could land in the gauge on Friday. Saturday will be wet, windy and possibly stormy, with as much as 25 millimetres to fall. A shower or two and 20 on Sunday. Showers are also forecast on Monday, Tuesday and next Wednesday, with temperatures in the low 20s. And all of the money raised tomorrow goes to fund cancer research. So if you can, please support Daffodil Day. A wonderful cause, Tomo.
It is a brilliant cause. Natalia, thank you. That is 9 News for this Wednesday, August 21. Thanks for your company. A Current Affair is next. Good night.